So thank you all for joining us today as we launch the Coastal Flood Citizen Science Project with the City of Portland. We're going to review the project, review the role of citizen science and decision making, and talk a bit more about the projects going on in Portland regarding resilience work and how this project fits into that. So sea level rise and storms are becoming an increasing problem as sea levels are rising and storms are increasing in intensity and frequency. The flooding that we're seeing today is just going to increase into the future and become a much bigger problem. So how do we plan for that, and what do we need to support that planning? And those are kind of two key things there. We need more local data. There's currently only 2 tide gauges with longer term data, and only a handful more with more recent data along over the 4,000 miles of Maine's tidal coastline. And we have really unique geography and bathymetry that really impacts how water levels and how weather impact how the tides come into these locations and the impacts that flooding and storms may have. So, and the other thing we also need is engaged citizens. So in order to develop resilience plans that are going to benefit the community as a whole, decision makers really need the whole community to be engaged and to be informed. And a solution to meet these needs is citizen science. So the Gulf of Maine Research Institute recently worked with the city of Belfast to develop an initial coastal flood citizen science project. And thanks to some funding from the James Trust Foundation, we were able to expand that project and are really excited to welcome Portland. And that's what we'll be launching today. So just to introduce the group today, my name is Gayle Bowness. I work with the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, and I manage our coastal resilience projects, and I work with municipalities and communities to better understand the risks and vulnerabilities of sea level rise to their communities, and to inform the citizens that live there about what those threats are and what kind of path they can take as they're starting to plan for resilience. So today I'm going to pass things first off to Abby from the University of Maine, Orono, who's going to share more about citizen science. And then I will give you a demo of this project so that way you know how to use the website and get out there and collect data. And then I'll pass things off to Kevin from the City of Portland to share with you more about the projects from there. Right, so Abby.
Thanks so much, Gayle. So hi there, as Gayle mentioned, my name is Abby, and I was asked by Gayle to talk a little bit more about citizen science and its importance in building community capacities. As some background, I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Maine, and I study citizen science initiatives, specifically the impacts that such work has on Maine's communities and the ways that such projects can make change. So first and foremost, what is citizen science and why should the people of Maine care about it? In citizen science, scientists are not working in isolation to decide what to study or how it should be studied. Instead, they are working hand in hand with citizens to build data footprints, as well as avenues to build community collaboration in responses to and for change. Now, this hand-in-hand aspect is what I think is one of the most important aspects of this type of work, as it encourages individuals with different capacities and expertise to contribute to the capability of communities to adapt and thrive in a changing climate. Now, as Gayle just mentioned, and I'm sure we don't all need to be told, but there is an ever-mounting base of evidence that extreme weather events are increasing in frequency and severity in our state as a consequence of climate change. And in the wake of this challenge is building and sustaining the scientific and social capacities of our state's affected, mostly coastal communities. So in other words, there is a need to be able to work together to be prepared and to take action in the face of these environmental risk events. And to do so will require specific place-based data and a collaborative spirit between community members, community leaders, and scientific institutions. And this is where citizen science, or the involvement of the public in the scientific process, comes in. And in this way, research institutions and everyday citizens can form partnerships and together collect and report on data. Now, what's important to highlight is this togetherness, or the partnership of citizens all across Maine with research institutions and municipalities to collaborate, to ask these questions, to collect this data, and then to put that data into action. And a wonderful example of this type of work that takes this collaborative spirit is the project that we're here to talk about today. So before I hand it back to Gayle, I do have some helpful resources, which I'm going to put in the chat, that are really helpful to be thinking about citizen science specific to Maine. Some books, some websites, and some other projects as well. So I'll hand it back over to Gayle, and we'll talk a little bit more about citizen science and this project specifically.
Thanks so much, Abby. All right, I'm just gonna pull up PowerPoint here. All right, can you guys see that? All right, super, thank you. All right, so I'm going to share with you some screenshots from the website. And if you want to follow along, you can head to this link here, investigate.gmri.org/project/coastal flooding. And I'll run through this as if it's kind of our first time coming to the site. I'll show you kind of the different features that are there, and we'll run through what it's like to upload data to this project. So this is our project, and the reason that we launched this is kind of what we had talked about before, is that we're really wanting to get to the goals of how are water level and weather conditions impacting flooding in specific local areas, and really wanting to engage the community in better understanding that, but also contributing their ideas and concerns about how flooding is impacting their community. So when you first come to the site, you'll need to create an account. So click the register button and just really simple, create a username, enter your email address and a password. And then you'll end up on our main page for this project, or for the Ecosystem Investigation Network. So this is a bigger citizen science effort that is looking to understand how climate impacts are affecting the Gulf of Maine region. So GMRI is actually working with other organizations around the state to answer questions that they have about climate impacts to their ecosystem. And you can view some of these projects here. The Coastal Flooding Project, of course, is one of these. So again, just a quick intro into the project. And as you scroll down from the website, you'll see this bar that goes across. And this is how you'll navigate between the different sections of the project. So there's initially an overview talking about sea level rise. If you're wanting to see more about how sea level will impact the state, you can click here or click the interactive map to get to be able to zoom in around the state of Maine and view different sea level rise scenarios in the places that you care about. Scrolling down a little bit further, you will get to some of our project goals and some more information about the project. And then down a little bit further on the site, you can see the participating communities. So as I mentioned, Belfast was our pilot community, and we're really excited to welcome Portland. And so Portland is also joining, and then later this summer, Vinyl Haven will be joining. If you know of another community that would like to join, please have them reach out to me. We're really excited to expand this project. But also, if you're not in one of these communities and you want to contribute, you can click the Anywhere tab. So by clicking the plus sign on the side of the computer, you will get more information about that community's project. And this information is really kind of centering the project in the broader context of how that community is tackling coastal resilience and some other work that is going on. All these projects are really complementing other work that's happening and really supporting the goals of the city. So you can get some more information there. As you go over to the Prep and Collect tab, it will give you more information about how to contribute data and what you'll need. And this is a really actually quite simple process. If you've got a smartphone, that's pretty much all you need out in the field to collect data. If not, we do have these data sheets that you can print and bring out into the field with you. And they have all the information that you need to collect. You can put it down on paper and then come back to your computer and upload that data. Scrolling down that website again, you can find some more information here about collecting data within each of these participating communities. And in Portland, it shares a bit more about the issues of coastal flooding and kind of how it's impacting the city. If If you click on the coastal flood monitoring sites link, it will bring you to this map. And this is where we're sharing where the different communities have specific coastal flood monitoring sites that they're wanting to collect data from. So as you can see, there's tabs at the top for each of the participating communities. So click the Portland tab and then zoom in and you can see each of these. We're currently building out this resource, so perhaps maybe you'll see one of your images up here in the coming weeks from each of these sites. So you can click on a tab on the map or on a picture on the side, and you can get some more information about that location, where it is and what it looks like. So that way, when you arrive there, you'll be more familiar. Again, we're adding some more information to the site to support that work. So this is Widgery Wharf down off of Commercial Street in Portland, pretty close to the Gulf Maine Research Institute. So it's a place that I tend to go to during high tides, like you see in the picture that's here. And one place that I visited on November 16th of 2020 during a predicted high tide. So I wanted to show you how to upload data based off of some pictures that I took at this location on that day. So you will go to the Contribute tab and start adding in some details about your site. So first we want to know where you're at. So you'll double click on the map to zoom into the location where you are. And then you'll click the little bubble icon in the upper corner, and then you can place it on the map where you were standing when you took those photos or in that general area. You can do that, or if you were to scroll just below this map, you can also enter in your longitude and latitude, which is information that you can get from Google Maps as well. You'll also enter in the date that you were collecting that data, and then dig into more project details by clicking Contribute. So we want to know what time that you collected that data, because we can then associate that with the predicted tide of the day, as well as the weather conditions of the day. We'll ask if you were at a monitoring site. I was in Portland at Widgery Wharf. And then what was happening there today, I knew that there was going to be a predicted high tide. That's why I was out. And I did see flooding, and I have seen flooding at this location before. Scrolling down on that, you'll enter in some photographic evidence that you took that day. We do require that you upload 2 photos. And if you want to upload 2 additional ones, you're welcome to do that. And then we want to understand or ask some questions about how this flooding impacted you, how it impacted your community, and what your level of concern is about the flooding that you saw there today. Would this flooding impact you? Could you get where you wanted to go? Or could you not get where you wanted to go? No, I could get everywhere that I wanted to go. No, it didn't flood my property. Was it a place I care about? Yes, I care about the Portland waterfront, but no, it did not, or it did not impact me. And how did this high water impact my community? There's a drop down with several selections here. And for this flood event, I selected access or transportation because it was impacting a parking lot as well as access to that working waterfront, especially for the fishermen who may have had their boats tied up there. And then my level of concern about this, if this happens really frequently, it's absolutely going to be a problem. Scroll down a little bit further, and we just want to have you certify that, yes, I followed all of the protocols and I entered the information in to the best of my knowledge. If so, click yes, click the submit button, and then you'll be brought to the data page. So this is the data page today, and if I'm like, but where did my data go? Well, remember, I uploaded data from November. So this is looking at data based off of the most recent date. My November data is going to fall pretty far down on that list. So you can use these filter tabs or search by date to find your upload. So I looked for Portland, for Widgery Wharf, and here's the data that I just uploaded. If I can click on the date of that, I can view all of that data. And your municipal officials will have access to this data, as well as kind of the back end collection of that data for them to be able to use and to sort in the way that suits them best in their decision making. So again, here is the link to get to the website, and it's a pretty simple process. We hope that you participate and contribute some data. So I'm going to turn things over to Kevin to talk a bit more about how the city of Portland is thinking about using this data in their planning.
Yes, hi, thank you, Gail. My name is Kevin Denault. I am the GIS specialist with the Department of Public Works for the city of Portland. I have been working in the city of Portland the past 5 years, and it was nice participating in this project in regards to coastal resilience and citizen science. Currently, the city of Portland hopes to use this data to improve model output in the city, whether it's flood frequency, flood mapping, improving flood knowledge in the city. So taking this data and incorporating into future flood models to help identify critical areas of flooding and where areas we can improve our resources in the city of Portland. There are several projects that the city is currently working on or are waiting in the wings that are tied to this project, particularly our high watermarks in the city of Portland, as well as the One Climate Future report, which was Portland and South Portland. And that's a major initiative that I think will fit great into this project, particularly from a citizen science standpoint in improving our resiliency in the city of Portland and South Portland. As far as other projects in the city that I think this will tie into, there is a recode process going in the city focusing on zoning regulations and zoning ordinances, and that will particularly help with our flood ordinance and flood ordinance change. In addition, the development of a coastal resilience overlay in the city to improve the accuracy and improve the efficiency of understanding of climate change and identifying key areas of the city where impacts from flooding and future storms could inhabit daily lives, particularly with the public and particularly with critical infrastructure in the city of Portland. Our hope is that this project, with working with GMRI and other municipalities, as well as other organizations, particularly with the National Weather Service, in combating climate resilience and combating flooding in the city of Portland.
I'm Troy Moon. I'm the Sustainability Director in Portland. I just want to add that it's really important as part of One Climate Future. We want to, it's a plan for everybody, and if this is a great way to have more community involvement in One Climate Future and understanding our climate vulnerabilities, and also to have residents participate in, as Kevin said, mapping and helping us prepare for the future impacts of climate change. So we're really excited to help engage with our residents to be able to gather this important data.
Thank you, Troy.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you, Troy. And thank you, Abby. And thanks all of you for joining. We really hope that you participate in this project, whether it's one observation that you do or many. Check your local tide gauges, pay attention to weather reports, and share your flood observations, or of course, any other observations while you're at the coastline. Any data is good data. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And again, thank you so much.